welcome to another episode of Teaching with Creativity. I'm your host, Susan Riley, founder of Education Closet, and I'm so glad you're here today, because today we're diving into something super important to all educators out there: refinding your spark. Just the other day, our team was sitting in the office talking about how many teachers have approached us all individually to ask how they can get out of the classroom. And I'm not talking about just one or two. We're talking about at least 2 to 3 requests a day, which led us all to think about, why is this happening now? Certainly the expectations and demands on teachers now is greater than they have ever been before. Teachers are frankly overworked, overwhelmed, and underpaid. But that can't be the whole reason, because after all, these qualities have sadly described the teaching profession for a long time. So why is there so much more frustration right now? It can also be the fact that teachers are not treated as professionals. They are provided with a scripted curriculum, they have little to no control over how to teach their students, and the culture of testing is out of whack. So in short, their joy is being stripped away. Now, here at Ed Closet, we focus on using arts integration and STEAM, both of which provide opportunities for students and teachers to get creative and explore learning from a rich and varied lens of the arts. And that's all great. But what if it's not possible in your given situation? So here's the thing. It's always possible. You just might have to look at some things differently. For example, you may have to rethink what collaborative planning looks like, or you might want to explore just one of the arts areas to start. The point is that there is always a way. And the same is true when it comes to thriving in the teaching profession, rather than just surviving. There is a way through this muck. You just have to kind of change your perspective. So a little while back, I read the book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. It's based on an old Toltec wisdom that states that if you can master these agreements, you can set yourself free from stress and worry. Sounds great. While there are certainly some areas that I question in this book, and I even push back a little bit, I did find that the 4 agreements could provide a pathway for educators to thrive in their work and to find joy in the profession again. So the first agreement is that you are impeccable with your word. Now, what does that mean? It's simply that you do what you say you're going to do. But the flip side is true as well. Don't commit to something unless you are certain you can be true to your word. And that means not saying yes to everything, even if it comes from a parent or administrator. Ask questions first. Really know what you're being asked to do before committing to it. Because so often we teachers want to help others. It's our nature. But we end up burning out on both ends because we overcommit to things. We don't give ourselves enough margin for self-care and refilling our own cup. So if we value our word, we won't overextend ourselves. Now, agreement number 2 is to not take things personally. And oh, is this a challenge for me? And my bet is that it's a challenge for you too. When someone says something about our work, our schedule, or our ideas, we tend to personalize it as being reflective of who we are. It's natural. But this couldn't be further from the truth. You, as a person, are not simply the work that you do in the classroom or the arts showcases that you put on for the community. You have so much more value than that. But more importantly, what people say to you about those elements is not about you. It's a mirror of how they feel about themselves. For example, if a classroom teacher drops off their students to the art room and says, "Must be nice to paint all day, I wish I could do that," the art teacher will instinctively have a negative reaction because it feels personal, as though the classroom teacher doesn't have any respect for the work that the art teacher is doing. Another example is if a principal comes into a classroom teacher's math class and says, "Why are the kids just sitting here doing worksheets? Why don't you have them in centers?" It feels like they are making a personal judgment to your ability as a teacher and making that kind of a call before knowing all of the details behind the lesson. In both examples, it feels disrespectful and as if the other person is hurting you in some way. In reality, that classroom teacher may wish she had a more creative freedom and envies that art teacher's job. Or the principal may have just had a conversation with the superintendent about a new choice-based initiative and feels the pressure to ensure that more centers are happening in the classroom. It has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the other person. Remember, this can go a long way to saving your sanity if you put it in place. Now, the next one I think goes hand in hand with the second agreement. Don't make assumptions is the third one, and it's common sense, and yet we do this all the time. So, for instance, just the other day, my daughter lost her jacket at school. I'm kind of embarrassed to share this, but it's okay. She told me she left it on the back of her chair, went to math class, and when she got back, it was gone. Now, she happens to go to a school with a high Title I population, and we've just had our first real cold spell. So my mind instantly jumped to the conclusion that another child had taken my daughter's jacket because they needed it for themselves. Maybe they didn't have one. I thought it was a shame, but that if the other child needed it for the cold, then fine. We could always get another jacket for my daughter. Next day, though, Emma came home with her jacket and said she felt kind of silly because she forgot that she had crumpled it up and shoved it into her desk before math class. So she wasn't the only one who felt silly. This is a classic case of making assumptions. This happens to us all the time as teachers. Something happens in our classroom or with a parent and another teacher, and we immediately fill in the gaps of the story. This is totally not our fault either. It's how our brains are wired. We are conditioned to create a story that makes sense to us. But the problem is that a lot of times, not sometimes, but a lot of times, our assumptions are incorrect. Now, this one is hard to work on, but here's a great way to start. For the next 48 hours, notice any time you or someone around you makes an assumption. Just notice it. I did this, and during the first day, I immediately picked up on at least 5 instances where either I, my husband, a team member, or even my daughter made an assumption. Once you do this exercise, you will immediately start to step back and ask some questions instead of trying to fill in those gaps. Now, the last agreement is to always do your best. And I think that we teachers are fairly type A and really try hard to put forth our best effort. So I kind of thought I could blow this one off. But if you dive deeper into this, there's a lot to learn from this agreement. I like to think that this agreement actually has an extension. Always do your best and be kind to yourself. Because when you do your best, that's all you can do, right? So no matter what, you can look back and be kind to yourself because you did all that you can do. No regrets. It doesn't matter if someone else doesn't think it's good enough. All that matters is that you worked to your capacity. We spend so much time on beating up on ourselves. Why didn't I get that job? All of these other teachers are sharing stuff that looks just like it does on Pinterest, but mine looks like it came out of a shoebox. Ugh, I must be doing something wrong. It's the script that runs through our heads, and it's got to stop. We all come to our pathways with a unique curriculum and lessons to learn. Just do your best with what you have and focus on your curriculum, not someone else's. I hope that these ideas for using the 4 agreements have been as helpful to you as they have been for me this year. Speaking of this year, we are winding down and getting ready for 2018. Can you believe that? That means that this marks the end of season 1 of the Teaching with Creativity show. We will be back again in January 2018 with season 2. And in our upcoming season, you'll be introduced to some of our other team members who will be sharing with you more ideas, resources, and tools for arts integration and STEAM. Until then, enjoy your holiday season and we'll see you in 2018. Bye for now.
Looking to add more creativity to your classroom? Excited by the idea of arts integration, STEAM, and project-based learning, but not sure how to fit it into your busy curriculum? Try an online class from Education Closet. You'll receive a 10-hour PD certificate for each class that you complete. Each training is self-paced, includes lifetime access, and takes place in a modern, video-based platform. You can use it on any device. You can learn anything from how to build a STEAM program to classroom management for hands-on learning experiences. It's your year to thrive, teachers. Visit educationcloset.com/courses for more information and to get started today.